What's up, world? What's up, Zion? It's Prince Easy coming at you again, once more. And in this here video, as usual, I have a couple slides for you, right? And of course, they're gonna cover what has been unfolding in these few days here, right? So we're gonna start off slow and then it's gonna pick up. Okay, so that's a 6-pointed star. I don't think you're safe. So we're going to talk about this situation, right? You can watch that for yourself. And also this situation, right? These situations, I'm going to mark them, right? By saying these are situations, right? So this situation, right? This is the first situation, right? This is the second situation. Okay, this is another situation. Okay, and when I tell you these situations, of course, I have some speculations. Okay, well, this is quite impressive, right? This is another situation. Well, who would have thought one part of the world is hungry and starving, and the other one is literally, by definition, overfed? This is another situation. Okay, this is a developing situation. Right? It's not yet a situation, but again, it is a situation, right? No good deed goes unpunished, right? So this good promotion is not to our benefit. Again, they are planning to do something really stupid in the future, and for the sake of, I don't know, not feeling or not expressing a biased type of view, they have to sprinkle in some good things in there, right? Just like how they do it with the news, right? They hit you with a lot of psychotic stuff and then they sprinkle in, I don't know, a cat video up in there, right? Like some sort of cherry on top of garbage that you're supposed to eat, right? This is another situation. Okay, this here, indeed, it is a situation. Okay, this here was not a situation, but it is gonna spiral out of control real quick because of the situation that we're talking about, right? So it's not part of the situation, but it became the situation and then it got all convoluted, right? This is a situation, right? This guy being here, showing his face now, okay? This is not the first time, right? Well, these are the, what do I call them, echo chambers that we keep talking about. One side, you know, the guy up there is like Zen, you know, you can tell by his face, you can tell that he has a form of understanding that gives one peace regardless of the disaster that keeps unfolding before us, right? And the other one below sees everything getting worse and not even recognizing that it has been getting worse slowly, right? This is a strong situation. This, of course, now it has become a situation, right? This is just a response to my other video, right? This is them responding, right? This is them responding. Oh, let me say this. It is them rebelling, right? And this is the reality, right? And not even counting the 70 so years, all of the people and the missing, right? This is just since that date. This is also connected to the Tanzania situation, right? This good credit, right? They saw something in Congo that they did not like. And of course, they have to find a scapegoat. When you see them plugging one of these, you know they're up to something, right? So this is a situation, part of that situation that I'm going to talk about. This is connected to the situation, but again, it is to be expected, right? If an anchor feels free doing this on TV, then what does that say about the people, right? This is just an intelligent assessment, okay? An intelligent assessment. I'm just posing a question. This is how it's supposed to go down, right? Part of the situation, connected to the situation, right? For those who know, they know, right? Now, I've heard some views being expressed, for instance, that the people over there wanted this change. They didn't really like the political movement that was over there because it became problematic to itself, and so on and so forth. But again, if your hand is available even for rent to do evil, then you are evil, right? I'm just saying. Yeah? This is connected to the other situation, right? Those two, and now this one here. Talking about the whole situation, right? And Lami over there really upset. This is a situation. This is also part of the situation, okay? This definitely part of the situation. This also part of the situation. This one right here, definitely part of the situation. This here gives context to the situation. And I would say Soviets, not Ruskies, Soviets. There's a big difference. This is also part of the situation that is rapidly developing. This here is also part of the situation as the situation unfolds. This here, I saw it coming miles away. You remember that coverage that we did last time, those when I asked those so-called South African, I don't know, freedom fighters and whatnot, right? Those people who were going into hospitals and they were questioning their fellow Africans, talking about where are you from, and you're not supposed to be in this hospital, you're clogging up the hospital, right? Now look at that. People didn't listen back then, nothing was done about it. Now it's going to turn into a civil war situation. Now people are figuring out, okay, this is much more than we thought. Because why? It was a vulnerability that was ignored. That South Africans, to some extent, they are tribal. They just didn't get a chance to confront it back then, right? Here, right? He is making appearances, huh? This is where they come from. Petra, Mount Sia. This is where they come from, right? You can see the whole White House over there. Go back home. That's not your land, right? I definitely did not see this one coming, like really, right? You remember when I was talking about those supposed UN sustainability goals, when I talked about each one of them individually, right? You remember I had the whole graph from the UN people, right? I'm talking about these goals here. You remember these goals here, this agenda here, right? I'm going to show you the results, okay? These are the results, literally. Now they are calling it environmentalism, right? They're using these trigger words to switch off the operation, right? Because it was a self-destructive mechanism. They didn't really know about it. Right? But the war, combined with the sanctions and the tariffs, everything was set in motion to where it is right now, right? But it started a long time ago, right? It started first with psychological conditioning, right? But now they have to find out the hard way, I guess. This is what I talked about yesterday, right? Let's look at the trigger words in this soup of a statement that we have here. Burn this image into your brain, right? So he wants you to remember this literally, like those old days when you used to burn compact discs. Right? So he wants you to write it in your brain like the most vile thing that you'll ever see. What happened in Charlotte was a public execution. Is that a fact? No, it is not a fact. It is not a public execution. Unless there's some other definition of public execution that it's a stretch. Okay? Murder, yes. Execution, a premeditated, there, right? There. I'm talking to you, my fellow white brethren and sistren out there. Okay? Cool down the emotions and the images that you have seen and all of that. Was it premeditated? Do we have proof that it was premeditated? Okay? But again, he has an opinion and he's adamant to burn this in your mind. For what reason? I don't know. It is a hate crime, right? Another trigger word, right? That has been weaponized extensively by you know who. By a black homicidal criminal. By a black homicidal criminal. That is what they want you to have in your brain, Okay? And then it goes on. Against a defenseless, tired, terrified white refugee. Do you see the polarity that has been created right there? Okay, what does lack of melanin and having melanin have to do with it? It is just straight up murder. Full stop. It doesn't have to be about the melanated and unmelanated or the people in a country or refugees or immigrants or whatever. Right? This is social engineering at its best. This right here is a programmer. Right? He's programming society. He's programming his followers. So wherever people that come to his channel, they form an echo chamber. That's the most dangerous thing, because the ideas do not get challenged really. They become like yes men, you know. Like they live there. When it comes to this guy, their minds become like autopilot when it comes to receiving information. Like there's zero discernment or filtering or what, or nothing. Right? So let's repeat that. A premeditated hate crime, right? By a black homicidal criminal, right? Against a defenseless, terrified white refugee. All brought to you by woke. Okay, first of all, this is when these people hijack stuff and they don't really even know what they mean. Right? This woke thing, they have hijacked it. Now it is an embarrassment. It just comes to mean that you are crazy. But in reality, that means you are illuminated. This is how black people, we use this word. You are illuminated, you know the truth, you are woke, right? You have awakened, right? But now it has been convoluted and now it has been used as a trigger word. You know exactly, right? It's not about the definition. When I invoke, right, when I say this word, there's a certain image that comes into your mind, right? Now that is what these programmers exist to do. Full stop. Okay, this is their expertise and this is what they do, right? So they want you to connect a stabbing of a white refugee by a black homicidal criminal to wokeness, DEI, and judicial activism and the Democrats. Okay? Restorative justice policies. These are the culprits that led to this white, defenseless, horrified refugee woman to be stabbed by a black homicidal. I can't even. We shall follow up this, like I said, right? Like I said, they don't know that this is not the time, right? Again, this is also connected to the situation. This here gives context to the situation. Among the other slides of this same character that I showed you prior in this same video that we are talking about here right now, is connected to the whole situation. Well, partially part of the situation, but it's gonna go catastrophic again, right? It's data, right? And data can be corrupted, can be stolen, can be wiped, right? Corruption is not wiped, right? Corruption is just corrupted. This also part of the situation. Okay? But again, smoke screens. Okay? Here, gives context, right? This short speech coming from this guy, as tomorrow is the day, the remembrance, okay? They have to wash their hands of that whole ordeal, right? And this right here is part of the context, right? Because if you are smart and if you listen to this conversation here, you would know that it's a direct message to Trump. So, what is the situation? As you know, I do not like to beat around the bush. I do not have the time, nor the luxury, it seems. War has started among them, right? The Europeans, right? There are two blocks, let's say three blocks, right? The one block wants to defect, and the two blocks are literally one block, but because of tribal, right? Because of the tribe of the Ashkenazi has taken over these countries, hence creating an illusion of confusion, so to speak. And for those who do not know, yes, it's gonna get nasty between the Europeans and the Americans. And of course, there is Netanyahu over there. All of these leaks that are coming out, I believe they are part of this operation, right? They are part of this operation, and something big is about to unfold, right? When you all of these big statements coming out, the threats of activating Article 4 and this and that, nah. All they're gunning for right now is mostly regime change. That's the bare minimum they can do, right? So the Ukraine project, yeah, that's gonna die for those two primary reasons. Some of them are gonna defect, right? They're gonna make peace by their own sum to the Russians, and of course some of them, they're gonna have internal struggles. Why? Because they have been infiltrated by a particular tribe. And of course, the tariff wars, right? The Europeans now are waking up that, okay, hold up, wait a minute. This is the same playbook that we done used in Africa, right? Literally same playbook. And what are they to do? They have to get into a confrontation. They have to, right? But their pride would deny them to go to the Russians. That's unfortunate, right? But that's what it is. That's just a situation that we have. And the Middle East is basically the Wild West, right? Like it has always been, right? No line will not be crossed, right? The Qatarians had to find out the hard way, unfortunately, right? So everybody is at war with everybody, right? This whole situation here, it shows that there are units within the armies of the West, even in America, that are willing to do anything for the sake of these people, right? This situation, people warned about it for a long time, but they did not listen, right? And if you listen to this speech here, more like posturing. Why? Because they are gonna go after the Russians. That's why they have activated the dog of war, Poland, right? And it's extensive accusations, right? 19 airspace violations, shooting down drones, and the whole nine, right? And also calling for the activation of article whatever, right? You saw the guy. He had his, he done took his court suit out, and he was just walking out there. And he was busy, He was, you know, you can see him. You can see how he's posturing himself. He's literally a barking dog, right? He's literally a barking dog, and not because this particular time, not because they have the backing of the Americans. No, it's because they have the backing of the Europeans. Okay, and the Europeans know for a fact that they can't touch America without touching the interests of Israel. So Israel has to keep Europeans in check. That will bring a confrontation between the Europeans and Israel. It's perfect. Leaving America, Israel, Europeans, and the East. So that's the best they could do at this point. Go for a high-level assassination. That's the only thing they have, and they hope, like, after they, within the chaos, maybe perhaps they would I don't know, launch something that would give them leverage. But again, they have not calculated how catastrophic that would be, right? They don't see yet how dangerous that game is. That's the thing. That's the only miscalculation in this whole scenario. Okay? They would think they would have declared themselves winners. I don't know, after they take out, I don't know, Xi or Putin or even Kim Jong. They just believe that will be the end of it. They truly believe it. They truly believe it. And that leads them to make questionable decisions. Let's just say that we are going to see unfold, right? Because I'm interested to see how the Europeans are going to fight the tariffs. I am literally interested to see how they are going to do it. Right? Anyway, that's just my analysis of the situation, right? And pertaining to the UFO situation, right? They say that these UFOs supposedly, right, one of them was struck by a Hellfire missile, right? And there's even footage, right? You can see an object moving across the screen, and after a while you see a dot, right? Just a dot, right? Because I can say it, I don't know, it left exhaust trails or anything like that, right? It's just a dot that collided with this bigger object and basically just deflects, just like ping pong or something. And yeah, that's what they wanted you to know. For what reason? I've already stated my opinion, but we are gonna find out, right? But all of these things are happening, and they're all, it's just perfect. Too perfect. Okay, so yeah, buckle up. It's gonna get nasty, really nasty, right? And I'm observing a bio weaponry asset streak across the sky above me. Just another attack as usual. Right? So they have told you, Europeans, you have to prepare for war. Your new president, von der Leyen, has said. So yeah, you do whatever you want to do with that. The only question you need to be asking yourself, what makes her so confident? Maybe she knows the Talmudic laws, which she says are the principles of the Europeans. Maybe, perhaps. But my guess is this. It's not all of that. My guess is this. They have your militaries in their pocket, just like what the Ukrainian armies is doing. Literally betrayal. That's what I would call it. Betrayal. Betrayal. That's what the Ukrainian armies are doing. It's not courageous or anything of sort. No. It's cowardly and dangerous at this point for the nation, which is going to be broken up in 3 parts. What do I know? General Easy signing out. Bye.